Good morning, student. This is our third, third lecture, and today we are going to discuss about application letter. What is mean by application letter? Why application letter is important for each and every professional. In this session, we will discuss everything about application letter. First, we will discuss what is mean by application letter. As we know that application letter or resume writing is essential for those who are sick, those who want to get a job in well reputed organization or well reputed companies. So your resume is the most important part of your job search. Same as application letter is also important. Like, the objective of an application letter is to attract the attention of an employer. It acts as a cover letter for your resume, and it should provide enough personal information to convince the reader to grant you an interview. The application letter is a great opportunity to sell your unique credentials. It provides the employer with a first impression of you. So that's why you should know how to write application letter, which format we have to use for application letter, what is mean by cover letter. Cover letter is also another name of application letter, so don't confused in these two letters, application letter or cover letter. A cover letter accompanies your resume as a part of job application. It provides further details on how your skill sets align with that role or with that organization's duties and whatever responsibilities they will assign you, how your education, how your skill sets match with that role. So through this application letter we can convince them, we can share with them. A cover letter or application letter is an important way to showcase how your unique combination of skills and experiences meet the key requirements of the job descriptions. The application letter gives you the opportunity to elaborate on your story before getting the chance to interview with hiring managers or other higher authorities. So this is mean by application letter. As we know that importance of application letter nowadays, if you want to get a good job or if you want to get select if you want to get a good job in multinational company, at that time you have to write proper application letter with resume or with your curriculum vitae. So in depth, well formatted resume could do wonder for you in your job search program. But remember, a resume, no matter how good it is, should be accompanied by job application letter. That's why job application letter is important. There are a number of things that a job application letter can do for you. Through an application letter, you can communicate to the employer how your experiences, skills, or whatever knowledge relevant to the job. It lets the potential employer know you better as a person and can add value to your background. A well drafted application letter or cover letter also helps an employer to understand your interest in the position. For a job letter or for application letter to help you in the above mentioned ways, you should understand the important parts of application letter. So this is importance of application letter. Now initiates recruitment process. How application letter takes initiate. Suppose if you got any news from newspapers or from different naukri.com, like these slides or dot websites. So then you come to know openings or wanted or requirements for that job position. So if you want to apply for that post, you have to take one pen and paper and you have to write one application letter. means here initiatives recruitment process. Application letter is the first step to get a job or to start that hiring process. So then types of application letter. There are two major types of application letter: solicited application letter and unsolicited application letter. So we will discuss this, what is meant by solicited application letter and what is meant by unsolicited application letter in detail. Solicited application letter means what? Application letter contains reference. Means suppose you got or you find that recruitment news from daily newspaper, or if you got that news from naukri.com or career.com, like these sites, then through that reference you have to write application letter. That means solicited application letter. Application letter contains reference. Demand is from employer side. If any organization wants to hire engineers or mechanical engineer, civil engineer, or professors, assistant professors, teachers, a senior clerk, junior clerk, then they published certain uh, ads in daily newspapers or in naukri.com, like these sites. So this is the demand from employer side, this is the demand from organization side, this is the demand from any institution side. So through that demand you have to write application letter, that is means solicited application letter. Application is received at employer in permitted period. For that application letter they will provide you some deadline. In that deadline you have to submit your application letter, then and then they will consider your application letter. So you have to follow that time duration or that deadline during that application letter. And next, unsolicited application letter. What is meant by unsolicited application letter? See, this is for this letter no demand from employer's side. Suppose you want to get a chance in Tata Industries or TCS, Tata Communication Service, or different kinds of Infosys, or if you want to get job in your domain. So if you want to get job in, take the example of TCS, so no demand is from employer side. Here you want to get job in that company, no any, without any ad, without any recruitment news. So at that time when you want to get job, then you have to apply for that post or apply for that organization for hiring manager. So you have to write one application letter for hiring manager. So no time span is permitted, you can send or you can submit that application letter anytime. Then applicant writes letter because he wanted to be there. I already mentioned that if you want to get job in particular companies, so you have to write application letter. If that organization wants to hire some eligible candidate for that organization, then they will consider your application letter. That's why your application letter, unsolicited application letter, is also important. If you want to get select any job, if you want to select any organization or any well-known company, so you can share your application letter with them without any recruitment ads. This is the unsolicited application letter. Now we will discuss the format or the template of application letter. Outline of solicited application letter. This is solicited application letter. Here inside address means your own address, your name, your full residential address with pin code number and date of that application letter. Here sender's complete postal address with pin code and date. Then here inside address means here to whom you are sending that application letter, to the principal, to the director, or to the executive director. That particular person's name and organization name you have to mention here. Then after that, subject. Here subject line plays an important role in any kind of professional correspondence or any kind of professional letters. So subject line, here you have to mention application for the post of If you want to apply for teacher post, application for the post of teacher. If you want to apply for the assistant professor, application letter for the assistant professor, or application for the chemical engineer. Like this you can mention in your subject line. After that, reference, where you saw that ad, you have to mention here your advertisement in the daily Lok Satta newspaper. Like that you have to mention reference, your recruitment ad on www.naukri.com website. Like that you have to mention one reference line. After that, salutation, respected sir, respected ma'am. Like that you have to mention. If you are means if you know that hiring manager's name, you can mention that hiring manager's name, dear Patil sir. Like that you can mention. Then opening para, here in opening para you have to mention some references in your first opening para. With above mentioned subject, I wish to apply for the post of assistant professor. Like that you can mention with reference to your advertisement in the daily Lok Satta newspaper, dated on whatever you can mention that particular date, and after that dated on like this you can mention first para. Then in main para you have to mention your experience, you have to mention your language skill, you have to mention your educational credentials or educational details in main paragraph. After that, closing paragraph. Closing para must be convincing. Please give me the chance of your reputed firm. I will do my work hardly and honestly. Like that you can add some convincing sentences for employer. Then complimentary clause, yours faithfully or yours sincerely. Like that you can mention. After that, here now we will discuss detail how to write application letter. Sender address, this is important, it should be complete postal address. You have to mention your permanent residential address. It should be complete postal address with pin code. If that organization wants to communicate with you through letter, then how can they communicate with you? Through your postal address only. So try to mention your complete postal address. Then for example, Mahesh Patil 23 College Road. Here that particular person's house name, number, sorry. Then College Road, Satara. This is pin code. Then date, March 15, 2021. Like that you can mention date. Then inside address, here to whom you are sending that application letter, that particular person's name, Mr. Alok Sharma, Director of Human Resources, Jyoti Corporation, 10 Vishrambagh, Sangli. This is inside address or to whom you are sending that application letter. This is application letter. Then it could be written as to Director of Human Resource, Jyoti Corporation, Vishrambagh, Sangli. It should be a sentence. Here subject line, it should be a sentence. Application for the post of marketing manager, application for the post of research and development officer. Like that you can mention your post. Before that you have to mention application for the post of. Then here references, source of information is to be mentioned properly. Here where you see that recruitment ad, you have to mention that thing. Then your advertisement published in Times of India on 11th May 2017. Like that you can mention reference line, or you have to mention this reference kind of reference line. Or your advertisement uploaded at www.unishivaji.in on 11th May 2017. Like this you can also mention, if you saw that ad on any website, then you can mention that website. Then salutation, here respected sir or respected ma'am, like this. Then opening para, here in opening para or introductory para, you can mention who you are, how you come to know about vacancy. With above mentioned subject, I wish to apply for the post of assistant professor, or like this, your advertisement in the Times of India dated on 10th June, 10 January 2021. I wish to apply for the post of. Like that, you can mention in your application letter. Take the example of this sentence. I am Mr. XYZ interested in the communication specialist vacancy advertisement in the Hindu on, this is Hindu, the newspaper name, on 11th May 2017. Or another example, with reference to your advertisement published in Times of India on 11th May 2017, I am Mr. XYZ wish to offer my candidature for the post of communication specialist or assistant professor, or you can mention that post name. With reference to your advertisement published in Times of India on 11th May 2017, I am Mr. XYZ applying for the post of. You can use this sentence also in your introductory para or in your first para. Then how to write main para we will discuss now. This is the important task. Here you have to mention your educational details, your experiences, then your whatever skills you have to mention in main para. Here in this para gives idea about your candidature. In the para that hooks, the beginning and the end should have examples of your done, previous experiences, achieved result, any accomplishment you can mention. Make sure that the achieved result that you are putting up in your application letter should have direct link to the role of your applying post. Here when you mention your skills or when you mention your accomplishment, your achievements, then that achievements must be relevant to your recent position or that particular post, that much must be relevant to that post. So here when you mention your candidature or when you mention your skills, experiences, accomplishments or achievements, at that time be careful about that job position or job title. It should contain detailed information about your assets or skill sets or your knowledge. Qualification, here you may have to mention where you complete your SSC, HSC or BA, BSc, MSc, that educations you can mention, but in short. In resume, you all that points you have to elaborate, or you elaborate that points in resume. So no need to mention all your educational details. Here you can mention important educational details only, where you complete your BSc or where you complete your MSc, like this. Then supporting qualifications for that job title, if you want to or add some supporting qualifications, so you can mention that things. Suppose if you want to apply for post of assistant professor or post of teacher, for teacher you have to complete B.Ed, Bachelor of Education degree. For assistant professor you have to complete either set or net or PhD examinations, then and then you will get that assistant professor post. So you have to mention supporting qualification for that job title. Then provide information in which employer is interested. Here you have to consider employer's interest about that job title or about that their candidate. So provide information in which employer is interested. Then do not provide ambiguous informations. This is an important point. Don't provide any ambiguous information in your application letter. Otherwise, you will face some problems during interview session or during that recruitment process. Then, how to mention qualification we will discuss now. I have completed graduation from mechanical engineering from Anna Sahib Dange College of Engineering and Technology, one of the foremost autonomous technical institute affiliated to Shivaji University Kolhapur, and secured 74 marks. Like this you can mention. Then additional qualification. Provide information about additional qualifications like successfully completed certificate course in CAD from the same institute. Here for mechanical engineering CAD, that course is essential to get a good mechanical engineering knowledge. So you can mention additional qualification details like this. Here I already mentioned that if you want to get a job for teacher post, then you can mention I successfully or I completed my BEd education from that institute name. Or for assistant professor, I completed certificate course of set examination, or I completed or I cracked set examination, or I qualified for set examinations, state eligibility test examination. Like this you can mention. Also you may write about project or foreign language. If you here foreign language means you have to mention your skills, language skills, like English, Hindi and Marathi. These are the three language skills you can mention in your language skills. Then special achievements and recognitions. Here in application letter you can mention in short your special achievements or recognitions. uh, if you took participation in any public event, you can mention that things, but you have to mention in short. Then closing paragraph. This is that closing paragraph must be optimistic in nature. Optimistic means what? Here you have to convince that employer to offer you a job. So that thing is important. Summarize what you have got to offer to your potential employers in this part. Also ask for some questions or ask some responsibility duties for that post. You should be sure that it has no errors or no any grammatical mistakes happen in whole application letter. Respect yourself and your potential while you are writing application letter. I am quite sure that my qualifications are suitable for the post, and I would like to be associated with your well reputed organization waiting for your call for interview. Like that you have to write closing para with optimistic way or optimistic thinking. Then closing salutation. Here you can mention yours faithfully or yours sincerely, like that. After that, enclosure. List of documents enclosure to be mentioned. Here enclosure means whatever documents we attached with that application letter, that things we have to mention. Enclosure means what? Which documents you attached with that application letter, that points or that documents details you have to mention here, like CV or curriculum vitae or resume, xerox copies of certificates, resume, then graduation certificate, diploma certificate, like this. This is all about application letter. In next lecture we will discuss about resume writing. Resume writing is also important part for all of us. So we will discuss resume writing in next session. Thank you.